Well, that's the coldest hand I've ever held. In fact, those icy fingers are literally that, ice. It's an ice sculpture of a hand, and it's easily made. You can make one. And to do it, you need to use a rubber glove. That's not too hard, but a plaster hand is a bit easier, so I'll show you how to do that first. Well, here's the rubber glove. It's an old one, and it doesn't matter if it's got a small hole, because you can patch that with adhesive tape. A big hole's harder, but a small hole doesn't hurt at all. The thing is, if you held that up and just poured plaster into it, it would distort. The weight would pull it down. It would go rather like that. So we need to keep its form, and we do that by making a false wrist. Well, I've made one here out of foam. It's an old foam carton, and I've cut it with things like hacksaw blades and sharp knives until it's just the size that fits snugly in the wrist of the glove. I'll show you that. By putting it in there and working it sideways, you can see it fills in the shape there, and if I hang the glove down, if that were now filled with plaster, it would just fill out to make the shape of a hand. The trouble is I can't pour the plaster through the bit of foam unless I cut a hole first. So take it out and use whatever you need, a sharp knife or a hacksaw blade, cut a hole of about this size. It's got to be big enough to let the plaster through, but not so big that it weakens the structure of the false wrist. And a hole of about the size of a 20-cent piece will probably be ample. That'll do. Even if it's rough, it doesn't matter too much. Then you shove it back in the glove. Well, that takes a while. So I've set up a glove here with everything. It's got the foam wrist there, the hole in the middle, and I made a hole on each side of the glove and put a loop of string through, and then from the middle of that loop, I've got a hanging loop. And that's the finished article, ready to receive the plaster. You can see it's already taken on the form of a hand. Well, how much plaster do you make? That's easily solved. First of all, fill the glove with water, and you pour it in until it comes up to the foam. You notice as it comes in there, it fills in the glove, and the glove keeps a proper hand shape. That's the foam doing its work. When it's like that, get your mixing bowl. It can be a bowl or something like an ice cream container, as this is, and empty all the water into that. And always add plaster to water, because plaster, being a powder, will form into nasty lumps if you put the water onto it. Well, here's the plaster, and use a spoon and just keep going. Well, that would actually take a while. I'm not going to mix a good plaster batch here because it would take too long, but as you do it, put it in there and stir it all the while. And you know you're onto a good mix when the thing is like already unwhipped cream. Good, smooth, white, creamy, unbubbly, unlumpy mix. When it's like that, a bit creamier than that one is, just pour it into your glove. You'll find that you've got a bit to spare because the plaster adds a bit more volume, but at least you won't be running short. There goes the plaster mix into the glove. And it's up to the top. Now, just before you hang it up, squeeze all the fingers. That gets rid of any air bubbles, and it means you don't have a weak spot that'll make the fingers snap up. It's almost got a life of its own there. Make sure your strings are strong, hang it up, don't be impatient, leave it for about 2 or 3 hours. And after 2 or 3 hours, that should have set solid. There we are. It'll still be wet, but it'll be solid. Unhook it, and now we release the hand. And this requires more care than anything, because if you're not careful, you can snap the fingers off. We have to destroy the glove at this stage. Get a pair of scissors and just slide them under the rubber and start to snip. And work your way all the way down the wrist and down the hand. Don't gouge it into the plaster, but you notice that as you do that, the rubber is splitting and peeling off. And you want to do that all the way down each of the fingers and the thumb. Don't subject yourself to the temptation of ripping it off, because the fingers will come too. Just work steadily and snip the rubber away, and when you do that, you'll find that the hand is revealed in very smooth fashion underneath all the rubber. That's going to take me a while. If I do that and pull the whole thing away, then I'm going to end up with this. A very smooth plaster hand. There it is. Unblemished and unbroken. What can you use it for? Well, anything you like, really. It's a silly sort of thing, but it could be a jewellery holder, like a watch holder, a ring keeper. You can hang a necklace on it. You use it as a bookend. Almost anything you like. It's just fun to do. As for the ice hand, you do it in the same way, but you just pour water into the glove, make a little frame inside your freezer, and hang it up on that.